Okay, so at Copenhagen you still haven't agreed, or you bloody politicians, the scientists can't even agree with you, let alone the politicians themselves. You think it's all about money. It isn't. It's about actually doing things. So there's obviously a few things we can do, like getting our power from solar panels, wind power, and even water power. I bet you haven't thought of that, have you? From the old water mills to seaside ones, paddles in the water. That's one thing, and here we'll show you how you can do that.
Here we have standard solar heating panels that create hot water that runs anywhere from 160 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on how hot it gets. The hot water carries a great deal of energy to the focus of a Fresnel furnace. This lens captures about a kilowatt or more of of sunlight power and flashes this hot water into steam at high pressure. That high pressure steam operates an electrical generator. We recover the hot water, which goes to a hot water storage system like a cistern or an irregular hot water tank, and you get electrical power out of it. We're getting about 60% electrical conversion efficiency, and the hot water fires up his hot new invention. His machine emits a flame that feels only slightly warm to the touch. But watch what happens when he touches anything else. Instantaneously, I can burn a hole right down through the center of that brick. The flame instantly turns hotter than the surface of the sun. Heat so intense it takes only seconds to literally burn a hole through charcoal. 3 seconds turns a brass ball to glowing liquid metal. Tungsten lights up like a sparkler. Steel, lead, and other metals slices on contact. Yet the tip of the welder stays cool to the touch. No other gas will do this. Denny Klein uses an alternative fuel source once thought impossible. He says people still have trouble believing him when he reveals his liquid fuel. Water. Take water.
Right, and the other thing is, which Nicky and I have been talking about for a long time now, is green roofs. In other words, when you build something, you put the green, the grass, the plants, flowers back on the roof of the building, and that can be done not only on private houses but on office blocks, shops, all sorts of things, government buildings, even sheds, garden sheds. They can all have green roofs on, and this is a few samples of that. Show you it's possible.
Aims to do is to get every new building in the UK and possibly later all over the world, make sure that every new building has a green roof on it, so that you're putting back some of what you've taken from the ground. And on top of that, what we'd like to do is to see the government give grants so that people can actually fit their own homes and sheds and garages, office blocks, shops and so on with green roofs for the same reason. And just think about it, you know, green roofs will absorb the moisture, you won't get so much flooding. It's an amazing idea, really. And even if the politicians want to think about defence and so on, you imagine any aircraft or satellites coming over looking at Britain, they wouldn't be able to see any towns and cities because all they see is greenery. Now there's a thought, maybe that'll make you think, you bloody politicians.
Right, now another thing, way back in the early 60s I complained because they did away with trolley buses and trams and brought in diesel route masters, which is stupid really, you know. So we should now go back to trolley buses, to trams, but above all to the best form of transport that you could imagine, and that is monorail. Because with monorail it uses a form of magnetism to propel them, which uses very, very little electricity. And not only that, but they can go across countryside and not even have roadways, because you can have pillars with the rail along the top. And here's some examples of trams and some monorails for you to show that it is possible. we going to have electric cars? You know, you've got to have all these power points which then will use the electricity to, and then it takes so long to fuel the, put enough fuel in the cars, the electric cars, we won't be able to do it, and it's going to take space. Well, for God's sake, back in the 50s, they had an aeroplane that ran on water. Yes, I'm talking about fuel cells. Fuel cells just take water, turn it by electrolysis into electricity, which then, so why can't we do that? Put your money into that, for God's sake, forget it. Or are you too worried that the economy is going to collapse if you kill the motor industry? Anyway, there's a few pointers.
He originally designed his water-burning engine for cutting metal. He thought his invention would replace volatile acetylene in welding factories. Then one day, as he drove to his laboratory in Clearwater, he thought of another way to burn his HHO gas.
On a 100-mile trip, we use about 4 ounces of water.
Klein says his prototype 1994 Ford Escort can travel exclusively on water, though he currently has it rigged to run as a water and gas.
There you go. There's some examples of what you can actually do physically. People keep asking me, well, what can we actually do to stop global warming? Remember, as I've said before, it's not just the carbon that we've got to worry about, but we're pumping into the atmosphere carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, all sorts of rubbish we're putting into that. We've got to stop doing that, and these are the ways you're going to do it. So get down to it. And people out there, you make sure your politicians do it.